welcome to the channel. In today's video we're diving deep into the mysterious world of angelic hierarchies, exploring the celestial order from the exalted seraphim to the mysterious thrones, cherubim, and beyond. What roles do these divine beings play? How do they interact with the earthly realm? And what happens when angels fall from grace? Whether you're into theology, mythology, or just curious about the unseen realms, this is your guide to understanding the structure and significance of angelic beings. Make sure to like, subscribe, and let's unravel the heavens, one angel at a time. Let's get started. The first, highest, triad, closest to God. In the celestial hierarchy described by Christian angelology, particularly in the writings of Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite, a 5th to 6th century Christian mystic and theologian, the angelic realm is divided into 3 triads, each containing 3 orders of angels. These 9 choirs are not random groupings, but structured hierarchically based on their proximity to the divine presence and their function in the cosmic order. At the summit of this hierarchy is the first triad, the highest and holiest class of angels, whose sole purpose is to contemplate God directly, unceasingly praising Him and reflecting His perfect will and glory. These are the angels that never depart from the divine throne. They do not concern themselves with earthly matters but act as intermediaries of God's will to the lower choirs. The first triad consists of seraphim, cherubim, thrones. Let us now explore each of these angelic beings, their roles, characteristics, and significance. Seraphim, the burning ones. Name meaning. The name seraphim derives from the Hebrew root word seraph, which means to burn. Thus, they are often referred to as the burning ones. This reflects both their passion and intense love for God, as well as their purifying nature. Biblical references. The most vivid description of the seraphim comes from Isaiah 6 verses 1 to 7, where the prophet experiences a vision of the Lord seated on his throne. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings, with 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, the whole earth is full of His glory. This triple declaration of holiness, trisagion, signifies absolute divine perfection. Nature and role. The seraphim dwell in the innermost circle around God, eternally worshiping Him. Their fiery essence symbolizes love. They are ablaze with divine love. Purity. Fire represents cleansing, and the seraphim are believed to purify the souls of prophets and saints. Illumination. Their proximity to God allows them to radiate divine light to the lower choirs. They serve not by action but by pure adoration, maintaining the divine presence at the heart of all creation. According to mystical theology, they transmit divine illumination to the lower angels. Symbolism. Fire, divine love and consuming purity. 6 wings suggest humility, covering their faces, reverence, covering their feet, and readiness, flying. 2. Cherubim, fullness of knowledge. Name meaning. The word cherubim is plural for cherub, which may derive from the Akkadian caribou meaning to bless, or the Hebrew keruv, interpreted as fullness of wisdom, or one who intercedes. Biblical references. Cherubim are frequently mentioned in the Old Testament and often associated with guarding sacred spaces. Genesis 3 verse 24. He placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Exodus 25 verses 18 to 22. The Ark of the Covenant was adorned with 2 golden cherubim. Ezekiel 10 verse 12 describes them as having 4 faces, of a man, lion, ox, and eagle, and full of eyes, symbolic of their immense awareness and vision. Nature and role. While seraphim burn with love, cherubim shine with divine knowledge and wisdom. They are guardians of divine mysteries and bearers of God's omniscience. Their role is contemplative, absorbing and reflecting the fullness of God's truth, which they then relay to the lower orders of angels. Cherubim are also tasked with protecting sacred places, like the Garden of Eden, revealing divine knowledge to the universe, safeguarding the glory of God from being profaned or misused. Symbolism. Multiple faces and wings, denote a multidimensional perspective and all-encompassing knowledge. Eyes represent constant awareness and insight into divine will. Guardianship, keepers of the bridge between the holy and the profane. Misunderstood imagery. Modern art often depicts cherubs as baby-faced angels. However, biblical cherubim are awe-inspiring, powerful beings, embodying intellect, insight, and vigilance. 3. Thrones, the bearers of God's justice. Name meaning. The term thrones refers to celestial beings that serve as the seat or chariot of God's authority and judgment. The name implies stability, authority, and receptivity to the divine. Biblical and apocryphal references. Though not as prominently mentioned in the canonical Bible, thrones appear in Colossians 1 verse 16. For by him all things were created, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. Ezekiel 1 and Daniel 7 hint at wheels or thrones as part of divine visions, often associated with God's movement or judgment. In apocryphal texts and mystical writings, the thrones are described as wheels full of eyes, like Ezekiel's Ophanim, which symbolize mobility and divine purpose, discernment and judgment, God's will in action, nature and role. Thrones are known as the embodiment of God's justice and fairness. They act as divine instruments through which God enacts his judgments and decrees. They are both passive and active. Passive, in the sense that they humbly bear the weight of God's justice. Active, in that they channel his authority to the rest of the angelic and material worlds. They are also mediators of divine energy to the second triad of angels, dominions, virtues, and powers. Symbolism. Wheels within wheels. Infinite harmony and motion within God's plan. Eyes symbolize awareness and impartial justice. Chariot, metaphor for carrying God's will throughout the cosmos. The function of the first triad as a whole. 1. Direct contemplation of God. Unlike the other angelic orders, the first triad is not concerned with earthly missions. Their duty is the perpetual adoration of God, bathing in divine radiance and becoming mirrors of his perfection. 2. Source of illumination for lower orders. The first triad acts as conduits of divine energy and wisdom, which they transmit down to the other choirs. This flow ensures that the cosmos remains in harmony with God's will. 3. Inaccessibility and holiness. These angels are beyond human comprehension. Their overwhelming presence reflects the transcendence of God. They are not messengers to humans but are instead focused upward, surrounding the throne in reverence. Theological significance. The first triad reveals profound theological truths. God is at the center, surrounded by those who reflect his attributes. Worship precedes service. Before action, there must be contemplation and alignment with the divine will. Hierarchy is harmony. The ordered nature of angelic beings reflects the structured cosmos God created. This triad also serves as a model for spiritual ascent. Just as the seraphim burn with love, cherubim shine with wisdom, and thrones carry justice, humans too are called to love God with all their heart, seek divine wisdom, live righteously and justly. In mystical theology, the journey toward God involves imitating the angelic hierarchy, progressing from purification, symbolized by thrones, to illumination, cherubim, to union with God, seraphim. Influence on art and culture. Christian iconography, literature, and even architecture reflect these angelic beings. Seraphim are often depicted as fiery six-winged angels around the altar. Cherubim appear in the design of sacred spaces, e.g., the cherubim atop the Ark of the Covenant. Thrones, while less visualized, are portrayed as luminous wheels or radiant beings in sacred visions. These images remind believers of the invisible realities surrounding divine worship and the immense mystery of heaven. The first, highest, triad of angels, seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, stands in unbroken communion with the divine, embodying love, wisdom, and justice. They are not merely mythic figures or symbolic ideas, but spiritual realities that point to the structure, beauty, and transcendence of God's universe. Though distant from human affairs, their influence flows downward, shaping creation, influencing spiritual growth, and anchoring the cosmos in divine order. In contemplating them, we are not just learning about angels, we are glimpsing the heavenly order, God's glory reflected in perfection, and the invitation for humanity to ascend in love, knowledge, and righteousness. The second middle, triad, govern the cosmos. In the vast structure of Christian angelology, particularly as articulated by great theologians such as Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite, angels are divided into a celestial hierarchy consisting of 3 triads, each with 3 orders. These ranks are not arbitrary. Instead, they reflect the divine logic of the cosmos and the role of angels in God's plan for creation. While the first triad, the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones, dwells in intimate contemplation of God and reflects His glory, the second triad, often termed the middle triad, plays a more dynamic and governing role over the created order. This middle triad includes dominions, dominations, virtues, powers. Unlike the first triad, which is primarily concerned with the divine presence, the second triad acts as an intermediary layer, transmitting divine will and order into the fabric of the cosmos. Their duties concern the governance, stabilization, and execution of heavenly and cosmic principles in the universe. They do not interact directly with humanity as much as with the larger spiritual and cosmic infrastructure, ensuring order, guiding lower angels, and maintaining the balance of celestial forces. Let's delve into each order and understand their purpose in governing the cosmos. 1. Dominions, Latin, dominatio, Greek, curia tets, the administrators of the divine. Identity and symbolism. Dominions are considered the first and highest choir of the middle triad. They are tasked with regulating angelic duties and distributing God's commands throughout the celestial hierarchy. As their name suggests, they exercise dominion or lordship over lower orders, not as tyrants, but as servants of divine will, ensuring that everything follows God's plan without deviation. They are often depicted carrying scepters or orbs, symbols of authority, and sometimes scrolls or tablets, signifying their role in managing divine decrees. Function and role. Dominions function as celestial administrators. They govern the lower orders, especially the third triad, principalities, archangels, and angels, by relaying divine instructions in a structured and orderly fashion. They do not typically intervene in earthly matters unless necessary, but they are the managers who ensure everything is aligned with divine law. Their governance includes assigning missions to lower angels, coordinating between the will of God and its enactment through lesser beings, maintaining balance and justice in the celestial bureaucracy. Theological significance. In Pseudo-Dionysius' celestial hierarchy, dominions symbolize God's sovereignty and right order. They are neither cold bureaucrats nor abstract metaphors. Rather, they represent that true divine governance is gentle, orderly, and wise, rooted in God's wisdom, not mere authority. 2. Virtues, Latin, virtuts, Greek, dunamis, the energies behind miracles and natural order. Identity and symbolism. The virtues are often misunderstood due to the ambiguity of their name. Virtue in ancient Christian theology does not mean mere moral strength. It refers to spiritual power or divine energy, dunamis in Greek. These angels are known as the spirits of motion, the force behind natural laws, miracles, and cosmic rhythms. They are usually depicted radiating light or energy, often with stars, sunbursts, or rays emanating from their bodies. This reflects their connection to natural phenomena, celestial movement, and divine interventions. Function and role. Virtues serve as the dynamic force behind creation's order. They are channels of divine power, ensuring that the laws of nature operate according to divine design. Miracles and supernatural acts are carried out under God's will. The celestial bodies, stars, planets, follow their paths. Their role is both cosmic and spiritual. While they maintain the structure of the natural world, they are also responsible for bestowing grace, strength, and courage to humans and lower angels when needed. Examples of their influence include the guiding of celestial objects and cosmic forces, miraculous events that defy natural laws, resurrections, healings, empowering saints and spiritual leaders to perform acts beyond human ability. Theological significance. The virtues are the reminder that God's energy permeates creation. Their presence indicates that miracles are not interruptions, but expressions of a higher natural order, a divine logic that transcends our material understanding. They demonstrate the balance between law and grace, between the predictable and the miraculous. 3. Powers, Latin, potestates, Greek, exousiai, the spiritual warriors and guardians of the cosmic balance. Identity and symbolism. The powers are the third choir of the middle triad and perhaps the most directly involved in spiritual warfare. Their name, powers, signifies authority, strength, and enforcement. They are the defenders of the cosmic order and the guardians against the forces of chaos, both seen and unseen. Symbolically, powers are depicted as armored warriors, sometimes carrying swords, shields, or chains, often bathed in fierce light. They exude the majesty of divine strength and the unyielding will to protect order from rebellion. Function and role. Powers serve as the heavenly militia. They restrain demonic forces, preventing them from overwhelming the world. They protect the divine order from spiritual corruption or insurrection. They manage the balance between good and evil, justice and mercy. They also oversee the division between the spiritual and physical realms, ensuring the flow of divine power does not become distorted by evil influences. In apocalyptic visions and writings, the powers often feature prominently as the angels battling Satan's forces. In some theological traditions, powers are also seen as the keepers of human history, ensuring that the unfolding of events aligns with God's providence. Theological significance. The powers reflect the justice and sovereignty of God. They represent the reality that creation is contested by spiritual forces and that God has established a defensive order to preserve divine harmony. Their very existence affirms that evil does not rule the cosmos unchecked, that the ultimate power lies with God and his agents of righteousness. The middle triad as a unified whole. While each choir in the middle triad has a distinct function, they operate as a single unified force, governing the cosmos with a blend of order, energy, and enforcement. Their positioning in the celestial hierarchy is strategic. They receive enlightenment from the first triad, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, and pass it down to the third triad, principalities, archangels, angels, for implementation in human affairs. This hierarchical flow ensures that God's will is not distorted or diluted, but transmitted with purity and precision through all layers of creation. Think of the middle triad as the engine room of heaven. Dominions are the executive managers who delegate and organize. Virtues are the energy sources powering the engine. Powers are the security and stabilization system, ensuring nothing goes wrong. They are not abstract figures but cosmic governors who make sure that galaxies turn, time flows, nature sings, and evil trembles. Reflections from ancient and modern theology. The idea of angelic choirs as cosmic governors isn't confined to medieval mysticism. In fact, it finds roots in Second Temple Jewish literature, the Book of Enoch, and is echoed in Pauline theology. In Colossians 1 verse 16, Paul writes, "For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him." This reflects the layered reality of angelic beings involved in governance. In the Book of Enoch, watchers and heavenly hosts are described as guardians of cosmic order, though some rebelled, giving rise to the need for enforcers like the powers. Modern theologians interpret these ranks not as literal descriptions but archetypal truths, symbols of how divine governance interacts with creation, through structure, power, and wisdom. The middle triad and the mystery of cosmic order. The second middle triad, dominions, virtues, and powers, represents the divine machinery behind the universe. They are not idle or remote, rather they are constantly active in governing, energizing, and protecting all of creation. From the swirling galaxies to the growth of a seed, from miracles in the lives of saints to the repulsion of evil in unseen realms, this triad stands at the core of it all. Understanding their role helps us grasp a deeper truth. The cosmos is not chaotic or random, but structured, animated, and safeguarded by a divine intelligence expressed through heavenly beings. The middle triad serves as the spiritual infrastructure of that grand design. Their governance is not just power, it is sacred stewardship. And through their tireless efforts, the will of God courses through the universe, ensuring that light still shines, order prevails, and grace flows toward those destined to receive it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed exploring the angelic realms, from the radiant seraphim to the enigmatic fallen ones, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the spiritual and supernatural. Have questions, theories, or insights about angelic hierarchies? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also check out our other videos on mythology, theology, and ancient mysteries linked below. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep reaching for the divine. This is your channel name, signing off. See you in the next video. Peace and light.